Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Stella Badmus of Stellyn Fashion TV. How are you guys doing? I hope you're good and I hope you are fine. So today I'll be making a basic bodice that you can incorporate into blouse, tops. And what we are going to need for this basic bodice are the pattern paper. You can use the white one or the brown one, but I'm using the white one. We need a ruler, we need a tape rule, we need the scissors, we need a marker, we need a pant cuff, a hip cuff, and a armhole ruler. So that is what we are going to need. So let's get started. The measurement we are going to use is right there on the screen. That is what we are going to need. So we are going to need two types of measurement, a horizontal measurement and the vertical measurement. The horizontal measurements are your shoulder measurement, your bust circumference, your waist circumference, your hip circumference. And also the vertical measurements are your shoulder line, your chest line, your bust line, the waistline, and also the hip line. These are the measurements I'm going to apply on this basic bodice block. So the first thing I'm going to do is mark a guideline. I've already marked the guideline here, and it's also going to be for the shoulder line. So we are going to measure out our horizontal measurements. The first measurement we are going to mark is the bust line. The bust line. So from the shoulder line, this is the shoulder line. We're going to name it SHL. From the shoulder line, the bust line we are using is 10 inches. Our bust point is 10 inches. The waist is 17 inches and the hip is 25 inches. We are going to do the same here. So now we have marked out the vertical lines. So we are going to take our measurement, which is the horizontal measurement. But first of all, before I take the horizontal measurement, I'm going to mark the shoulder measurements. So we are going to mark the shoulder measurement. My shoulder is 15 inches. 15 inches divided by 2 will give you 7.5. So we mark 7.5 here. Then here we mark. So the next thing we are going to mark also is the neck width. The neck width we are using is 3 inches. I'm going to mark 3 inches here. 3 inches. Then our neck depth is also 3 inches. We're marking 3 inches here as well. So we are going to square it. So I'll mark 3 inches here as well. So I'm going to square it now. On the shoulder line of the neck width, will come down by ½ an inch here. We'll also go in by ½ an inch here as well. So we mark out the neckline using the armhole cuff to give you that perfect round neck. So next thing we are going to do now is we are going to mark the shoulder slope. So we've already marked out the shoulder measurement, which is 7.5. So we are going to come down here by 1 inch. I'm coming down here by 1 inch. So I'll mark our neck shoulder slope. We are going to mark it from the neck width of 3 inches. So on the neck width, on the shoulder slope, we are going to insert our armhole measurement. The armhole is 16 inches. So you come down from this slope, you come down by, it's 16 inches divided by 2, that is 8 inches. So you mark 8 inches here. So this is going to be our chest line. So this is our chest line, this is our bust line, this is the waistline, and this is the hip line. So we mark this here too. This is our armhole level. So on our armhole level, we are going to divide it into 2, which is 4. We come in by 3/4 of an inch, 0.75. So we mark the armhole curve. So when you are marking the armhole curve, you make sure that using your armhole curve, you make sure you mark within these lines, this junction, at this line, you mark it by using your armhole curve. So you mark it this way. So that is our armhole. The next thing we are going to do now is we are going to mark the horizontal measurements. So my bust is 38. 38 divided by 4 will give you 9.5 plus ½ inch for bust ease. The 5 inch we are going to add, we are going to subtract it from the back bodice. This is the front bodice, so we are going to mark it, we are going to take it from the back bodice. So I'm going to add, so 38 divided by 4 will give me 9.5 plus ½ inch, that will give me 10 inches. So I'm going to mark 10 inches here. So for the waistline, for the waist is 32 inches divided by 4 will give you 8 plus ½ of an inch for the waist, which we are also going to remove from the back bodice. So 32 divided by 4 will give you 8 inches. 8 inches plus 0.25 for ease will give you 8.25 plus 1 inch for the darts, that will be 9.25. So we are going to mark 9.25 here. So the next measurement we are going to mark now is the hip. The hip is 43 inches. 43 inches divided by 4 will give you 10.75 plus ½ of an inch for the ease, that will give you 11 inches. So we'll mark 11 inches here. So what we are going to do now, we are going to mark using the pant curve. We're going to mark it from here to the waistline. So we use the hip curve. We take the hip curve and also mark the hip. So we are going to mark the hip. So the next thing we are going to now mark is the darts. We are going to mark out the darts. But before we mark out the darts, we will need a bust span. The bust span for this measurement is 8 inches. So 8 inches divided by 2 will give you 4 inches. So from the center front, we are going to mark 4 inches on the waist, 4 inches on the bust line, 4 inches also on the hip line. So on the bust, we are going to come down by 1 inch. On the bust, we are coming down by 1 inch. While on the hip, we are going to come up by 2 inches. So from the bust that comes down by 1 inch, we'll mark to the waist, then to the hip that comes up by 2 inches. So the next thing we are going to mark now is the waist dart, and we're going to take half an inch on both sides. So half an inch here and half an inch here. Then we join this, we join everything together. So that is the waist dart for a basic bodice. So now if you want, you can add the seam allowance. If you want to add seam allowance, you can add any seam allowance you want on the waist, the hip, or the bust. But right now we're going to leave it like that. So that is all for the front basic bodice block. So in this one, we are going to mark it the center front. This is the center front. So we are going to cut it out now. So this is the front basic body. So we are going to mention this as, we're going to write the front basic bodice. So next, what we are going to cut is the back basic bodice. That is what we are going to cut out. So we are going to do that right now. So now we are going to draft the back basic bodice. So what I just did here is I just mark out the starting line, which is also the shoulder line. Here I have the zipper allowance line. I measured 1 inch from the edge of the pattern paper. This is 1 inch for the zipper allowance. That is what I did here. So we are going to measure the vertical line, which is the waistline and the hip line. We are going to mark the bust line and the chest line later. So that's what we are going to do now. So the first thing we are going to mark now is the waist line. So starting from the nape of the neck, which is the shoulder line, you come down by 17 inches for the waist. This is 17 inches. Then 25 inches for the hip. So I'm going to do that on this other side too and mark the line. So we are done with the waist line and the hip line. So now we are going to mark out the shoulder measurements. We're marking from the zipper allowance line. So we mark here from this line. Our shoulder from the front and the back is 15 inches. We divide it into 2. That will give us 7.5. So we have 7.5 here. So for the neck width we use in the front is the same thing we are going to apply to the back. So we are going to mark out 3 inches here for the back. For the neck width for the back, 3 inches. So the neck depth is going to be 1 inch. We come down by 1 inch. So we mark that out using our Using our armhole curve, mark it here. So next we are coming down on the shoulder by 1 inch, like we did in at the front bodice. We come down by 1 inch. The armhole is 18 inches, so we start from here. We come down, divided by 2, we make it 9 inches. So the next thing, we are going to mark out the shoulder slope, which is this. Mark out the shoulder slope from the width of the 3 inches, the neck width of 3 inches. We mark it down like so. So we come down for our so we mark out the armhole line. So what we are going to do now is we divide this into 2. The armhole level, we divide it into 2, which is 4 inches. We come in by 1/4 inch. We come in by 1/4 inch. So the next we are going to do now is we are going to, before we mark out the armhole circle, we are going to insert the horizontal measurement. So we start from the bust. Our bust is 38 inches. 38 divided by 4 will give you 9.5. Remember, at the front bodice we added 1/2 inch that is taken from the back for bust ease. So we are going to deduct that 1/2 inch from the back. So 38 divided by 4 will give us 9.5. We are going to deduct 1/2 inch from it, which is 9 inches. So we are going to mark the 9 inches from here, starting from the zipper allowance line. Like so. Next we are going to mark out our waist measurement. Our waist is 32 inches. 32 divided by 4 is 8 inches. Remember, we added 0.25 to the front for the waist ease. We are going to subtract it from the back waist. So we are going to have 8 inches minus 0.25 will give us 7.75. So, and we're also going to add the waist dart for the back, 1 inch. That will give us 8.75. So we are going to mark 8.75 for the waist measurements. Next we are going to insert our hip measurements. The hip is 43 inches. 43 inches divided by 4 is 10.75. Remember, we add 0.25 to the hip at the front, so we are going to subtract same from the back. So what we are going to have, 10.75, you deduct 0.25, you have 10.5. So we are going to mark 10.5 to the hip measurements. So using our pant curve, we are going to mark what we have here, this. So we are going to use the hip curve to mark out the curve, the hip line. So there you go. So this is it. So we are going to insert the armhole curve using the armhole curve ruler. So what we are going to do now is to mark from here, like so. You place your ruler, place the armhole curve like so. So the next thing we are going to now do is we are going to insert the waist darts for the back. The bust span we use in the front is what we are going to apply here at the back. So the bust span is 8 inches divided by 2, that is 4 inches. We put that here. like so, to the hip, like so. On the chest line, we are going to also do so here. This is the chest line, though I didn't rule it out. The chest line is here. I marked it here, so that was why I was able to get the line. So on the chest line, you, from the nape of the neck, you measure down 9 inches, which is standard. 9 inches is where you are going to start your dart for the back bodice. So like I have here is 9 inches. I've already inserted the bust span on it. So for the hip, you are going to go up by also 2 inches like you did in the front. You go up by 2 inches, like so. Then you roll it out. So next we are going to insert the waist dart. So the waist dart, we are going to take in and out 1/2 inch on both sides. 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch here. Then we roll it out. So that is it for the waist dart for the back bodice. So that's all we have for the back bodice. So now I'm going to cut it out. So this is the back bodice. So I'm going to write it here. So guys, this is the basic bodice block. This is the front and this is the back. So very easy to make. Next, I'm going to do a video on how to make a basic bodice block with a bust dart. It's going to have a bust dart. It's just the same way, but we're going to be adding a bust dart to it. So that will be on my next video. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, please give it a huge thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe, share my videos to your friends and family, and I'll see you again on my next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.